This is your one and only Firespark81 with your daily dose of video goodness, and this is my review on the game Forts. Before we get into the review, let's take a look at what the Steam store page has to say about this game. Forts is a physics-based RTS where foes design and build custom bases, arm them to the teeth, and blast their opponents' creations to rubble. And I have to say that is a pretty accurate description of the game. This game boasts a mostly positive rating with 73% of the 242 reviews at the current time of this video being positive. It has the tags strategy, action, base building, physics, and RTS. And it comes with a price tag of $14.99, so $15. And with that being said, let's jump into some gameplay, and then I'll talk about my likes, dislikes, pros, cons, all that good stuff. So when you first load up the game, this is the menu that you are presented with. You have your campaigns, your skirmishes, your multiplayer, your sandbox, your replays, your map editor, your options, and your credits, and quit into the desktop. So let's go over each of these modes. Your campaign's basically just going to lead you through the game step by step, little bits at a time, and let you get a hang on what everything does. So each mission's going to present you with like a new type of tactic or a new weapon or something like that. The skirmish is basically just playing against the AI on the map of your choice, and you have a bunch of different maps to choose from, and there are some pre-built ones as well, and you do have the ability to create your own maps. We'll get into that more here in a minute. Multiplayer is very similar as well, except you just join a room that someone else has created, or you can come down here and host your own game. So you just jump into it, and we'll jump into this one real quick and take a look at that. So this is what it looks like when you jump into a multiplayer, and then whenever you're ready, you just click ready. You can also invite people and all that other good stuff. Choose your team, log teams, you know, the usual multiplayer type shenanigans. Then we're going to go back and we will take a look at Sandbox mode. Sandbox mode is pretty similar to the skirmish with the exception that there is no AI. You just play around with physics and stuff like that and fight yourself. So if we take a look at this one here, you have your two bases here. If I was to load this up, I would be in control of both bases, and I would have unlimited resources to just build and play around and experiment with different types of things. This is really good to give you an idea before you play a map in a skirmish of what you can get away with build wise. For example, on these ones where you're stuck to a cliff face like this, you got to be careful with your physics and building out too far, and some support beams may have too much weight on them and stuff will collapse and stuff will fall off and things like that. And then also you have your replays, and it saves games that you have played, just saves them so you can go back through and watch them over, and you can actually clear those out just by hitting these X's. And last but not least, we have the map editor. So if we click this, it gives you a bunch of different options here. You can create a new one from scratch and pick your biome. Basically, they call them themes, but they're more or less biome types. So you can pick that and then name your map and then start creating your map from there. You can also edit a map that you've already created or that is already in the game. And you can also copy a map if you don't want to screw it up. You can come over here, you can copy it, give it a new name, and then build on it from there. Now it gets a little complicated when you're actually creating a map to play against the AI. After creating it, you have to go into the Sandbox mode and bring up the console and type in some commands and record your building the other base, and then the AI basically copies what you've done. I haven't really messed with it a whole lot, but it is possible to create your own maps for the skirmish mode. So let's just jump into a skirmish real quick. All right, so let's just select this one. Now you have the option to enable or disable commanders, and commanders give you some different abilities. So let's take a look at those real quick. So here are the commanders that you have to choose from if you want to play with them, and they do different things. They give you certain passives and certain perks once you're in the game. For example, the architect gives you cheaper structures and higher storage capacity. Then when you activate his or her ability, You get 4 times device, weapon, and structure build speeds. You have overdrive. You can instantly upgrade your units. When you activate him, you boost production, and then you get ×2 device and weapon build speeds. So you get the idea. They each have their own little specific niches that they do for the type of commander that they are. For example, this guy's a sniper, so he boosts your snipers by giving them the passive laser sight and better aiming and magazines. And then you have the activatable ability, which all weapons have explosive rounds. So that's basically how your commanders work. And then you can enable or disable that by just clicking this up here, this box. So here we are in a game. This is our base. Now this is what you have to protect. This is your core, and this is like your life force. Down here you can see how much health that your core currently has. This is your commander. When this bar fills up here, you can click this star and activate your commander's ability. Down here we have our building materials, and here we have our devices, and then this tab of course brings us to our weapons. So we have different types of building materials that have different strengths and weaknesses. The game's pretty intuitive when it comes to building, so we're just going to drag this out, and this is what building looks like. It's a bunch of just dragging, and it pretty much does the rest for you. I mean, you can build individually, like if you want to build braces like so, you can build and drag to different selections, but I mean, you don't really have to do that. In most cases, it will take care of all of that for you. I don't like that, so we're actually going to delete that, and we do that just by right clicking and then clicking the trash can and then click it again, and then we'll remove that for us. And then we can drag this out and attach it like that. That's a little bit better. And then you have your rope is for your squishy ground, so like anything right here. Your base can only attach to the ground that you see here, like this rocky ground, and that is also the only place that you can build your miners, which help your help you get resources. So we just placed a mine and we have that generating right now. We also took some damage, which allows me to show you the repair function. So you just highlight over where you want to repair and you hit the R key, which is really great, really intuitive and really fast. So you don't really have to worry too much about repairing each thing. It'll just do it for you. Let's cover some weapons really quick. So we have our machine gunner. That's your little base, your most inexpensive unit, I guess you could call them. Then we have our sniper. That is your next unit, and those are the ones that you start off with. You really don't need any type of upgrades or anything like that to have those units. In order to get more weapons, you have to build the workshop and the upgrade center first, so you can build these in any order. We build the we'll just build them because it doesn't really matter which order you build them in. However, building the workshop is going to get you weapons quicker than building the upgrade center and then the workshop. However, building the upgrade center does allow you to upgrade your machine gunners and your snipers, so that's something to keep in mind when you're choosing which one of these to build first. And once those are built, you can then build the factory, which is going to give you your ultimate, most strongest weapons. So we'll go ahead and get that one going as well while I show you these others. So building the workshop is going to give you the incendiary mortar, which you can see here. We will go ahead and place him, and it also gives you the swarm missiles, so we will place one of those. Now those have to be placed inside rock. You can't just place them anywhere inside your base. As you see here, they won't do it. They just stay red. So you have to place them inside a rock area, and you don't really want them covered. You can cover them, but you have to use doors when you're doing so. So I'll demonstrate that, and then we will upgrade this to the door. So firing is pretty much the same for every weapon. They vary slightly. This one you have your angle, and you're going to shoot up and at an angle like so, and you can see the rocket, and we totally missed the other base. Yeah, that happens. Then you have your machine gunner, fires in a pretty decent size arc, and you get to choose on where you want to fire. He can fire a lot faster, but he has heat that builds up, and if that maxes out, then he will go into cooldown mode. And you can see that it leaves you the little reticle there to see where you last fired at, so you know if that was a good hit. You can line it back up and fire in that same position, and you will hit the same spot or very close to it. Then we have our sniper, pretty much the same same way, except once he fires, he has to go into a reload. So now we covered those two, we will cover our missile swarm. So if you click the missile swarm, it's a little bit different than the others. You don't really have that arc that you can fire in. You can just fire wherever you want. However, your sniper needs view of the area that you're firing. Right now, our sniper is being blocked. So you can see here that he has his laser sight that he needs to shine. And if we just click it, he can't really shine on anything. So now that our sniper here has view of the area, we should be able to click, and you can see that this sniper has view of the base. So we can now fire. We're just going to fire down here because I don't necessarily want to destroy that base. And then the salvo will go off, or swarm missiles, whichever you want to call them, and they will hit that area, and oof, we about destroyed that base there. Now you can see that it is in a cooldown state and it reloads, and then you can immediately fire once it has reloaded. And now let's take a look at the cannon. So this is the cannon, and if we click it, you can see that it does have that arc, pretty decent area in which it can fire. And then once again, it works just like all the others. You can just shoot it and it fires a giant missile that aims straight, and the laser is done now as well. So we'll take a look at it. Once again, it has that arc, and you shoot it and it just burns for a few seconds and does a buttload of damage. So now that we have a general idea of what this game is about, let's talk about the pros and cons, what I like, what I don't like, and that kind of stuff. So let's start off with the stuff I don't like, aka the cons. First thing I want to talk about is the load times. The load times for this game are absolutely insane. I've played AAA titles, high-end 3D games that have quicker load times than this game. Once you get into the game or the map and you restart and stuff like that, the restart times are quick. You don't have to go through the reload process again, but that initial load time is crazy for no more than what this game is, and I'm not sure why, and I'm not even sure if it's possible for them to fix that or change that or anything like that, but that is a minor con. I'm willing to put up with that because the game itself is insanely fun. The only other thing that I don't care too much for when playing this game is going up against the AI, and let me explain here. Going up against the AI is basically a race to the large weapons. You don't even really have to build any of the other weapons, just repair your base and focus heavily on making sure your base isn't being damaged, building your base, building the things you need to obtain the cannon and the laser, and building the cannon and the laser as fast as you can. And that's basically all you have to do to beat the AI. So once you figure that out, it's not really a challenge and it's not really fun. You don't really get that back and forth you would expect from an RTS like you do any other RTSs, where you have those tiny little skirmishes back and forth before the big guns are broken out. It's just a race to the big guns. Now, I haven't played a lot of multiplayer, however I want to, but I feel like it would be a lot different when playing multiplayer because you have that chance to have that back and forth. Not everybody's just going to race to the biggest guns, and the other players, other team does not get to cheat like the AI does. And the last little con nitpick that I have is there's not a huge selection of weapons to choose from, and that's a minor thing. I mean, there doesn't necessarily need to be a huge selection. The game's pretty well balanced as it is and incredibly fun. Now let's talk about the pros. First thing, the building. The building is quick, it's intuitive, and it's loads of fun. I love how janky the forts look. I love how the physics plays with the forts and how you get to play with the physics when building the forts and the different options they've given you for building. It's also funny to see how the physics reacts when your fort gets blown up in chunks and how different things happen. It's really great. I really enjoy that aspect of the game a lot. I also enjoy finding creative ways to destroy my opponent's base, which is a ton of fun. However, you don't always get the option to do that when you're playing against the AI, because the AI is almost definitely going to kick your butt in that case, because once they get those big high-end weapons, you're more than likely going to lose. But it's still fun in the process of losing, trying to find different ways to destroy the enemy fort. I really like what they did with multiplayer as well. If the map only has 2 forts and you have the game set up to have more than one person on a team, everybody on that team controls the one fort. So you can have one person building, you can have one person focused on repairs, you can have one person focused on just manning each of the weapons or splitting them up between the different weapons. Like, it's really neat how they did that. You can also have maps with multiple forts on them, so each team gets, or each person on the team gets their own fort, which is really neat too. I really like how they did that. That's a really neat aspect. I also think that it is great that they included a map editor, although the map editor does have a pretty high learning curve. I messed with it a little bit. It's not the best map editor in the world, although I'm sure it gets the job done just fine for no more than this game is. And with all that being said, taking into account the price tag of $15 and the gameplay, if I had the money to go out and buy this today, would I? Yes, I would. It is worth every bit of the price tag that it comes with, and I'm sure you will get tons and tons of hours of fun out of that whole $15 you're going to spend for this game. So with that being said, that is going to wrap it up for this game review. Before I go, I want to give a quick shout out to my Firestarter crew. Thanks for hitting that notification bell and being the first to comment. Also to my Patreon supporters, thank you so much for all of your support. If you would like to help support this channel, the link for my Patreon is in the description below. We've got a lot of great rewards for people who help out. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy and you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and show your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.